Well, the rain shuts off for the most part. We're mainly dry in the overnight hours. Clouds will remain, and it'll stay pretty mild. Mid and upper 50s, even some folks near 60 through early on Wednesday morning. The wind picks up on Wednesday, gusting over 30 miles per hour. Could even gust up to 40 miles per hour as the line of heavy rain and gusty winds rolls through the area tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. That front, though, will deliver a dry day and a cooler day for Thursday with highs in the low to mid 50s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Folks, you know it's been cold, and we at Randy Marion Stores in Statesville, we want to make sure your car does not leave you stranded on these cold mornings. Come let us check your vehicle out with a complimentary service check. Randy Marion Chevrolet of Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, we'll check it out to make sure that car will start on these cold mornings and get you to where you need to be. Come see us today. Make sure you're tip-top ready to go. 2024 has started off cold. Let's make sure you are ready to go.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
Local leaders, top stories, the news that matters most to you. The News Drive at 5 with host Patrick Reynolds starts now.
Welcome to the News Drive at 5 here at WSIC News Talk Radio. I am Patrick Reynolds taking you home on this Tuesday, February the 27th, 2024, 5:06 p.m. Eastern Time. You just heard Know the Scene with Justin Dion from the Kane Center for the Arts down on East Catawba Avenue in Cornelius. He is the director down there, and every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, you can listen to Know the Scene and find out what is happening on the scene in Cornelius with the Kane Center for the Arts. Always good to hear Justin on Tuesdays here at WSIC News Talk. Top story tonight has been the traffic on I-77 and around the Iredell County area, and I believe we have our first caller on the line already. This could be our first traffic update. Vitally important for us tonight. Hello, is this Yolanda from iCats?
Yes, hi Patrick. Good afternoon on this terrific Tuesday. How are you today?
I am doing well on this terrific Tuesday. Fortunately, I have not been in the scrum. That was I-77 earlier today. How are you doing with the roads and traffic? It's been an adventure for many people around Lake Norman.
77 was terrible earlier today, but you know what? It cleared up northbound. Northbound was backed up for miles, many miles. Coming into Charlotte, but now it's pretty good. Also, 77 southbound, of course, you know, we have our beautiful Lake Norman visitors looking at the water. It's beautiful, but it's also backed up as well.
Yeah.
And, there are no incidents to report, but just the regular congestion. And, of course, you know, we have the in and out, the off and on rain. So, you know, just beware of that and be careful.
Rain, usually a slowdown factor, makes roads a little slick. We certainly want everybody to give a little extra time, patience, and cushion between them and the car in front of them. Happy to hear no incidents.
Definitely. Increase your following distance in the rain, guys. Be safe. This is your iCats traffic report with Yolanda reporting.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. You have a great afternoon.
Have a good evening.
Yolanda from iCats checking in here with our WSIC News Talk audience. Fortunately, no incidents at the current time. The usual slowdowns over the Lake Norman causeways on I-77. And there is a rain factor going on right now. So please pay attention. We want you all to get home safe. Leave a little extra stopping distance between that car in front of you. Jumping from traffic, we look at our top 5 at 5 news stories tonight that we are covering. Number one story is traffic as a crash shut down I-77 earlier today. Charlotte-Mecklenburg police are searching for a rape suspect. The Troutman Police are investigating car thefts. A Charlotte man pleaded guilty to wire fraud. And in the house tonight, I'm not alone. We are joined by North Carolina House District 84 candidate John Gallina joins me alongside News Drive at 5. John, how are you this afternoon?
Patrick,
Patrick, I am doing fantastic. It is great to be here with you this afternoon, and just really appreciate you having me on the show.
We appreciate you finding some time to visit WSIC News Talk in the house and in the audience. We're going to spend a lot of time with John this afternoon. We do want to get to a few top stories tonight, right now, and during the news drive at 5. We will have headlines for you. Right now, as I was speaking earlier today, a portion of I-77 North in Mooresville was shut down for several hours due to a crash. According to the North Carolina Department of Transportation, the crash happened at 10:41 a.m. at mile marker 31. At first, 2 of the 3 lanes were closed, but one reopened by 1:20 p.m., and the incident wasn't cleared until 2:21 p.m., as well as I-85 northbound at the intersection with I-77 was also closed due to a crash down in North Charlotte. So I-77, very much a mess. There's no other nice way to put it. A mess earlier today. Fortunately, it seems to be freeing up and moving along a lot better, except for the causeways over Lake Norman. We know it's beautiful, folks, but please, if you could keep traffic moving, just pay attention, be kind, be nice to your neighbor. That would be fantastic. We are privileged to have John Gallina in the house. It is good to talk to you. We're going to get back to some more headlines and news talk throughout this news drive at 5. But Mr. Gallina, my goodness, we've got a big Tuesday next week coming up for you and many other candidates.
Super Tuesday, as it's best known.
Yeah.
Very exciting. You know, I'm going to tell you, we've spent, the better part of the last 11 days out working the Board of Elections, the polls there, and just meeting some amazing Americans, great residents of Iredell County from all over the county that have come out. It's by far been just an experience that I think I'll never forget, just meeting so many great people, hearing both the good and the bad of life and their challenges, and it's just such a great privilege.
North Carolina House District 84. I guess that'd be a natural first question from me to you. On the map, where would your jurisdiction lie? What are you running for, just real estate-wise?
Yeah, so just giving kind of a bigger overview, North Carolina is broken down into 120 House districts, and so Iredell County constitutes really 3 House districts. Okay. The 84th district is what you would consider everything north of Troutman and everything north of Mooresville. And so the 84th district does not include Troutman or Mooresville. The 84th is, predominantly the larger land area, but constitutes about 89,000 residents of the roughly 200,000 residents in the county.
I never would have guessed that. That was actually my next question. Do you know the population of what you would be serving if you were to win the election? 89,000 people. And that You told me, just north of Troutman, north of Mooresville. My head, just the layman's math, I'm thinking, wow, we just got rid of a lot of people that are not there anymore. But I'm quite surprised by that population. Yeah,
Mooresville is by far the most dense area of the county. And with that being said, it constitutes a district all in its own. And then the 2 Troutman districts there, those 2 precincts that make up Troutman, they fall into Mitchell Setzer's district.
Okay. So the House district, would this be an office that you're running for that you would represent us in Raleigh?
It is. And so, ultimately each district sends a representative to the North Carolina General Assembly that represents half on the House side and then half on the Senate side. We have 50 state senators that represent the Senate side, and again 120 that represent the House side.
Okay. So is this your first step into an elected office? Is this your first run for an office, or have you done this before?
It's a great question, Patrick. Kind of, sort of.
Okay.
And so about 6.5 years ago, I started a campaign to run for the Senate seat that Vicki Sawyer now occupies. Mm-hmm. And in the process of that, my battle buddy and co-founder of Purple Heart Homes, Dale Beatty, had passed away. And through some extenuating circumstances, we felt that it was best for me to hold off on the political aspirations and to make sure that the Beatty family was stabilized, the charity was stabilized. And then from that standpoint, we're now in a position to be able to move forward.
Well, best of luck to you. Stay with us on this news drive at 5 because we're going to get a lot deeper in with John Gallina, his run for office, his platform, what he stands for. He shared a little bit with me before we went live. He's got some interesting things to tell us and our audience. We've got also the news drive at 5 headlines tonight. I'm Patrick Reynolds taking you home. News drive at 5 rolls on right after this.
More of the News Drive at 5 after we pay the bills on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the rain shuts off for the most part. We're mainly dry in the overnight hours. Clouds will remain, and it'll stay pretty mild. Mid and upper 50s, even some folks near 60 through early on Wednesday morning. The wind picks up on Wednesday, gusting over 30 miles per hour. Could even gust up to 40 miles per hour as the line of heavy rain and gusty winds rolls through the area tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. That front, though, will deliver a dry day and a cooler day for Thursday with highs in the low to mid-50s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Merlefest is back. April 25th through the 28th at Wilkes Community College. Featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Sam Bush, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at merlefest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. St. Patty's Day is right around the corner. The festival is happening in downtown Mooresville. Attending is free, but there are ticket packages available for purchase. Irish dancers, pipe bands, food, and drinks. March 16th, downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Coin collectors, get ready! The Statesville Coin and Currency Show is coming to the Statesville Civic Center March 16th and 17th, featuring over 60 tables of some of the finest coins around. For more info, contact Bill Brewer of Carolina Prospectors in Statesville. The Statesville Coin and Currency Show, Statesville Civic Center, March 16th and 17th. Want to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex? How about a Triceratops? Dinosaur World Live is coming to Kane Center for the Arts, Friday, March 29th. That's not the only fun family adventure coming to the Kane Center for the Arts. Dinosaur World Live, Friday, March 29th. For tickets and to see the entire spring lineup, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
The Ugly Antenna has now become a household name in this area. The Ugly Antenna allows those without a streaming provider to receive up to 50 channels absolutely free of charge, including Fox 46.1. The Ugly Antenna is small and connects directly to your TV. Get the Ugly Antenna for just $40. Call 704-682-1755. That's 704-682-1755 for the Ugly Antenna.
Call 844-STUDIO-4 now to join in the conversation on the News Drive at 5 with Patrick Reynolds on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to the News Drive at 5 here at WSIC News Talk. Patrick Reynolds with you on this Tuesday, February the 27th, 2024, 5:18 p.m. East Coast time. Thanks for tuning in. We are joined in studio by John Gallina. We're going to talk to him a little bit more in just a few moments. In other headlines tonight on the News Drive at 5, in Charlotte Mecklenburg police have called on community members to help them close a case that has been described as being, quote, incredibly rare and also upsetting: the rape of an 86-year-old woman by a man she did not know. Explained Deputy Chief Tanya Arrington, it's upsetting and it's rare. The case opened about 48 hours ago. Saturday evening, shortly after 7:30 p.m., a man broke into a house along Hucks Road in North Charlotte and sexually assaulted a woman. In other news, closer to home in Troutman, According to the police department, 4 cars were stolen, while 5 others were broken into and had items taken, including several firearms. This happened over the weekend in the Falls Cove community off Autumn Leaf Road, but the car theft victims made things easy for the suspects. All 4 cars were not only unlocked, but the keys were left inside. Using residential security footage, officers say they observed 3 vehicles entering the area during the early morning. Police have been able to recover 3 of the 4 stolen vehicles. 2 of them were recovered within hours of the incident occurring, and the 3rd vehicle being recovered earlier today. All vehicles were found in Charlotte. We are joined in studio, our special guest tonight on the News Drive at 5. North Carolina House District 84 candidate John Gallina is with us. John, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us here on the News Drive at 5.
Hey, Patrick, it's great to be here with you. It's like a second home here at WSIC, and just love being able to connect with the listening audience, and certainly this is a great way to do it. So thank you.
We touched on this right before the break. I asked you if this was your first run at an elective office. Kinda, yeah. I'd say officially, yes, it is. However, this is not anything new to you to serve the community. You've been doing a lot of that over the years.
You know, it's really all started when I was a young boy, and just being able to see the needs in our local community growing up in northern Iredell County in the Central School District, and just seeing the folks in the community with different needs, my grandparents and my parents, helping them out, just being good neighbors. And you know, my family's got a history of military service. I joined the North Carolina National Guard as a junior in high school, and in the process had multiple state deployments dealing with hurricane reliefs, floods, and believe it or not, a blizzard in North Carolina. It seemed like it was a short-lived blizzard. The snow melted relatively quickly, and then turned to some flooding up in the mountain areas. And you know, with that, you see people that are hurting, that they're in need, and this idea of as a young man being able to make a difference and have a profound impact. And you know, you think about being 17, 18, 19 years old, and somebody depending on you to be able to help them, to be able to, whether it's get them to safety or to be able to help rescue their family members. We did a lot of swift water rescue missions, and so through all of that, you know, these various experiences have just built upon one another. And then in 2003, my unit was deployed to Iraq, and where a lot of our listening audience probably know the story. But ultimately, we had to do some route clearance work, and while we were tasked to get some fuel into Fallujah, we had to clear an alternate supply route that had been riddled with anti-tank landmines, and had been about 18 landmines had detonated in a week prior. And our job was to get those tankers safely into Fallujah to refuel the Marines. And we found 2. And so through that process, it really, as I look back now almost 20 years, it amazes me at how the military and the time in service, the not only the camaraderie for one another, but the love for our community and for our families, that you face these difficult challenges, these daunting tasks, and you're still willing to go do them. And through that, you know, we came back and we said, you know, there's this great community of veterans that, you know, has a need, and look at how Iredell County has responded to us after injury. Mm-hmm. And so my battle buddy Dale Beatty and I started a charity called Purple Heart Homes. Right. And since then, we've been serving the veteran community, not just in Iredell County and in North Carolina, but truly from Alaska all the way to Puerto Rico. And so we've been doing that now for 15 years. And we have a phenomenal team, and they're ready to start working through the succession plans that we have built and put in place, so that ultimately the charity will grow and thrive even in my absence. And we want to do that in a planned and intentional manner, not just in the sense that one day I'm going to die or one day I'm going to retire and suddenly it's just going to fall to somebody to figure it out. We want to ensure that there's a healthy transition in that process. And so that planned succession is really critical and important to our plans to ensure that what we've created and started is maintained.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service to our country on behalf of everybody here at WSIC News Talk. Was there a catalyst or an incident or any spark that encouraged you that, wait, I'm gonna jump in and throw my hat into the political ring? You obviously have served the community quite a bit, but an elected office, that is a different animal. Was there something? Was there a specific spark?
Yeah, Patrick, that's a great question, and I'll say that there is actually multiple, right? And so this idea through the military service and just being a student of history, just understanding that freedom really is a part and parcel about choice. Right, it's about having the choice of where you worship, of having the choice to carry a firearm, of having a choice in where you live or what you eat, and with that comes this, thought process of having a free election, a choice of being able to elect your representative. And for me, that goes into so many different aspects. Having served in Iraq in 2004 and 2005. Holding the first free elections and realizing that the Iraqi people went and voted under the threat of death to put a purple stain on their finger, knowing that if they were captured by the insurgents, that they would be beheaded because that purple stain on their finger meant that they voted. And so there's this understanding that I walked away with that says it's important when you don't have it, it becomes more important that you do have it. And what we now, most of the veteran community would coin as a first world problem, that we ignore the voting process. Let some other people, my vote doesn't matter. Let some other people do that. And so it's become very critical and important. And what has taken place for us here in Iredell County is truly, while we're a majority Republican and independent, conservative independent county, there's not been a challenger on the Republican ticket for the House seat in more than 20 years. And so giving the people a true choice, not to say just that if you don't vote, you don't have a right to complain. Well, if I go vote and there's only one person on the ticket, what difference does it really make? Mm-hmm. And so the people have to have a choice, and the people are hurting in so many different ways. And so ensuring that the people have that free choice and that they have this ability to voice their opinion and this ability to be able to say, hey, I want somebody that's going to fight for me, right? Mm-hmm. And so we need representatives that doesn't matter what you look like or where you're from, that they're a respecter of people and that they're going to fight for all people and they're going to be present and listen and available to be able to hear the needs of the people. And there are so many challenges to list that we could spend the next 2 days just talking about all the challenges that people face.
We're coming up on the bottom of the hour. I want to ask you a broad question, and don't feel you got to finish the whole answer before we jump to commercial. Sports betting, it is coming to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Big topic, a lot of discussion with that. What are your thoughts on that? Where do you stand?
It really has become a very big topic. Not only the sports betting, but horse racing was folded into that bill. And, there's so many challenges that come along with it. And I know that, part of the argument is, well, you can do it online, or, well, you can go to Harrah's, casino, or you can go to all these other places and do it. That's true, but the more accessible that we make these types of issues, the more what we see truly from a statistical standpoint are the challenges that come along with it, right? And those are, an increased divorce rate, increased poverty, increased homelessness, increased crime. And so what we see is an incrementalism that is leading us to a lesser quality of life. If people want to do those things, that's fine. They have that right to make that choice to go do those things. But it doesn't mean that we have to make it so readily available that it's in every community. And our listening audience should remember that just a few short years ago, we were taking gambling machines out of gas stations, right? And so there was a fight taking all this out of service stations. And here we are, it's coming right back. And so it's maybe in a different form, and a part of this whole sports betting and horse racing, conversation, you're going to see more video lottery, video gambling type machines coming in the next session of the General Assembly, that's going to be the next push. Is incrementalism constantly pushing towards, well, ultimately is angled towards bringing in big casinos here to North Carolina.
Interesting stuff. Big topic. You probably have more to say about it. We can continue on after the break. You are a radio pro. You know what that music means. We're heading to a commercial, which we're also going to talk to you about. A little bit radio putting the pieces back together. Those of you who don't know, John also hosts a show here on WSIC. But don't touch that dial. We're going to talk about all this when we come back. Patrick Reynolds taking you home. News Drive at 5. We'll be back.
We'll be back with more of the News Drive at 5 with Patrick Reynolds in just a moment on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the rain shuts off for the most part. We're mainly dry in the overnight hours. Clouds will remain, and it'll stay pretty mild. Mid and upper 50s, even some folks near 60 through early on Wednesday morning. The wind picks up on Wednesday, gusting over 30 miles per hour. Could even gust up to 40 miles per hour as the line of heavy rain and gusty winds rolls through the area tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. That front, though, will deliver a dry day and a cooler day for Thursday with highs in the low to mid-50s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Folks, you know it's been cold, and we at Randy Marion Stores in Statesville, we want to make sure your car does not leave you stranded on these cold mornings. Come let us check your vehicle out with a complimentary service check. Randy Marion Chevrolet of Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, we'll check it out to make sure that car will start on these cold mornings and get you to where you need to be. Come see us today. Make sure you're tip-top ready to go. 2024 has started off cold. Let's make sure you are ready to go.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-901-5563. 800-901-5563. 800-901-5563. That's 800-901.
Okay, I'm talking funny because I'm in the witness protection program. I have too much credit card debt and I don't want people to find me.
Okay, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about credit card debt. Right, those plastic things that we all have in our wallet. Are you in your 50s or 60s and you're still carrying around a mound of credit card debt? Wouldn't it be nice to start banking that money and save a little money for retirement down the road? We help people restructure their credit card debt all the time. We show people how they can get out of credit card debt in months, not years. Listen, you'll be carrying around credit card debt for the rest of your life unless you deal with it right now. We offer a free consultation so you can learn how you can finally wipe out your credit card debt and start saving money. Give us a free call right now.
Call Debt Solutions Network now. 866-451-3328. 866-451-3328. That's 866-451-3328.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer. And again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-869-8560. 800-869-8560. 800-869-8560. That's 800-869.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute.
The nation's biggest health insurer is coming under federal investigation. The Wall Street Journal says the Justice Department has started an antitrust investigation of United Health. The report says investigators have been asking healthcare industry representatives about the possible impacts of United Health's doctor group acquisitions, both on rivals and customers. Apple is ending its 10-year foray into trying to build an electric car. Sources tell Bloomberg the news came as a bombshell to the nearly 2,000 employees who've been working on the project, but it's always struggled. Now the focus will be on artificial intelligence. Many of the workers will apparently be shifted to that area, but there will be some layoffs. On Wall Street, there were small moves on both sides of the flat line. The Dow falling 0.25%, 97 points. The NASDAQ and S&P gaining about 0.2 to about 0.33%. The NASDAQ up 59, the S&P 9. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
Call 844-STUDIO-4 now to join in the conversation on the News Drive at 5 with Patrick Reynolds on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to the News Drive at 5 here at WSIC News Talk Radio. I am Patrick Reynolds. Good afternoon on this Tuesday, February 27th, 2024, 5:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Some more news out of Charlotte tonight. A man has pled guilty to wire fraud for a scheme involving more than $300,000 in stolen checks, according to the United States Attorney's Office. Documents show from August 2022 to January 2023, 27-year-old John Davis III got about 50 checks that were stolen from mailboxes in Charlotte. Davis then fraudulently endorsed and deposited the stolen checks into his bank accounts. He would then withdraw the money before the victims or the bank knew the checks were stolen. In total, Davis fraudulently obtained over $300,000 in stolen money. We are joined in studio live this afternoon by North Carolina House District 84 candidate John Gallina. Thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate a few minutes of your time.
Hey, thanks so much, Patrick. It is it's great to be here with you and share the airwaves with you once again.
Yeah, we did share the airwaves. It was kind of funny how you didn't remember me at first, but we have been on radio together as I co-hosted the show Why Should I Care with Melissa Nieder, Iredell County Chair, also running. A big day for her on Tuesday and everybody in Iredell County. I co-hosted a show with her, and you and Brad Borders would come in, and you were guests on our show together. And I want to almost give credit that I want to say breastfed putting the pieces back together. We almost gave birth to your show there a little bit.
Yep.
I love the show now, and I enjoyed it as almost watched it form somewhat, sort of, on the show that me and Melissa Nieder used to host.
You really did, and such an inspiration because it's really about the good that happens in our communities and just how we can take that good, share it out with others, and inspire them to do more. And, you know, as a Republican, I kind of might have a hard time thinking about a male breastfeeding, but, you know, you did help nurture us, and you brought the comic side of the show, putting the pieces out. And, you know, we got some great characters there. Of course, Devil Dog Devin Alexander does a phenomenal job. Brad Borders, Tammy Borders, a.k.a. Mrs. Giggles. And we have a great time on the show. And, you know, I would be amiss if I didn't say Joe plays such a phenomenal part in helping with the show and just keeping us on track and does a great job. So, yeah, thank you.
Just a reminder to our audience, when can they listen to Putting the Pieces Back Together here on WSIC?
They can tune in to Putting the Pieces Back Together on WSIC on Thursdays at 3 p.m. And then they can also go to the website, WSIC website, and find all of the shows that we have aired. And they can check us out on social media, both WSIC and Purple Heart Homes. And then check out the podcast Spotify. You can search us out. And, of course, YouTube as well.
Well done in the gratuitous self-promotion department. Very good.
That's right.
Well, we have a caller holding on the line. You feel brave?
All right, let's hear him.
All right. Hello, caller. Welcome to the News Drive at 5.
Hey, how are y'all?
We're doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Question for Mr. Gallina.
Sure.
Well, two questions. So we've seen the mailers with Representative McNeely on them. and saying that he's a career politician. And I was curious, what is considered a career politician? I guess he's been in for 2 or 3 terms. If you get elected, are you committing to not running for re-election or stopping at 2 terms?
So first of all, fantastic question. Thank you so much, caller. And yes, that is my plan and my commitment is 2-term limit. I believe in term limits and healthy succession. And Mr. McNeely himself promotes that he's been in public office and held public office for over 24 years. And so with that in mind, somebody that has been in city planning or county planning for over 15 years, and then county commissioner's seat for a term, and then now running for what'll be his 3rd seat in State House. There needs to be healthy change in succession.
Do we still have a caller on the line? Okay, yeah.
Next question. So, we've seen the pictures of you and promoting Mr. Kutsay for mayor. I'm just curious, what is your stance on the Republican Party platform, and if you're behind Trump and the Republican Party after promoting Democrats, or what are your thoughts on that, or I guess a rebuttal to those pictures we've seen?
Well, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Ultimately, Costi is a registered independent, and while he may have some liberal views, my belief in some of the interactions that I had with other candidates, that he was our best choice and most stable choice for us to be able to move forward. I had told Costi multiple times leading up to that I was looking and searching for another candidate to be able to support. And with that I believed, again, that we needed healthy succession. And when I could not find that candidate, I had to ask Costi. I said, you have to help us be able to mentor and identify somebody and let people know that you're not going to run again. And we need better candidates to be looking to run and be promoted and healthy succession promoted to run, that you can't just sit here and hold this seat until you die. That's not going to be healthy for Statesville.
Mm-hmm. So it is okay. I mean, in the Republican Party platform, I guess it's against independents and Democrats, but it is okay to support those over, I guess, Republicans that you have negative feelings with. If elected to the NC House, are you going to stand with that, or are we going to be united front on the Republican Party?
Well, let me go back a little bit in your question. Ultimately, I believe that character matters, and that the character of the candidates matter. You can have somebody that says that they're a Republican, but then if they in turn, let's say during that time period, one of the things that happened was there was a drive-by shooting in South Statesville, and one of the candidates that was running for mayor during that time period contacted me and was for a mandated curfew on all citizens in the community until such time as those suspects were caught. As a Republican, I cannot agree with that. I cannot agree with taking guns away from the residents or from the citizens. I cannot agree that the citizens are punished because of a crime, and ultimately that was a part of the determination and deciding factor that I felt that Costi needed to be supported in that race. And so with that in mind, you have to look at the character and the desired actions, not just simply what label is by their name. In fact, in Iredell County, the independent party, if you will, you can consider them a party, there are more registered independents in Iredell County that are conservative voters as opposed to registered Republicans or registered Democrats. Joe, do we still have our caller?
Yeah, did we answer your questions?
Okay, there was one other part of that question that I want to answer.
Go right ahead.
And the last part of his question was, will we have a united front in the House to support the Republican Party? And ultimately, the answer to that is yes. However, I will say with a caveat, if I believe that has to be a compromise in values, then as the representative for the county, my plan and what I believe is necessary is to come back to the county and have conversation, because it's not simply my values that are being compromised. It is the values of the registered voters and of the citizens of Iredell County.
Interesting stuff. I'm glad that caller called in. We do have another caller on hold. We're going to get to that after the break. We are coming up. We've got about 45 seconds to the next commercial. Not enough time, to be fair to the caller, for them to ask nor for you to answer. So, caller, if you can just hold on through the commercial break, we will get to you on the other side. If anyone else would like to call in, we'd actually like to talk to you as well. I think John appreciates connecting with the community. News Drive at 5 will continue very shortly. I'm Patrick Reynolds on this Tuesday, February 27th. We have 5:44 p.m. in the afternoon. I'm joined alongside North Carolina House District 84 candidate John Gallina. We've got one more segment. He's taking your calls. He's answering your questions. News Drive at 5 rolls on. We'll be right back.
Stick around for more of the News Drive at 5, coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the rain shuts off for the most part.
Yeah. Caller, are you with us? Oh, we got nobody.
Did they drop?
They dropped.
Okay.
Through the 28th at Wilkes Community College, featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Sam Bush, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at merlefest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. St. Patty's Day is right around the corner. The festival is happening in downtown Mooresville. Attending is free, but there are ticket packages available for purchase. Irish dancers, pipe bands, food, and drinks. March 16th, downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Coin collectors, get ready! The Statesville Coin and Currency Show is coming to the Statesville Civic Center March 16th and 17th, featuring over 60 tables of some of the finest coins around. For more info, contact Bill Brewer of Carolina Prospectors in Statesville. The Statesville Coin and Currency Show, Statesville Civic Center, March 16th and 17th. Want to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex? How about a Triceratops? Dinosaur World Live is coming to Kane Center for the Arts, Friday, March 29th. That's not the only fun family adventure coming to the Kane Center for the Arts. Dinosaur World Live, Friday, March 29th. For tickets and to see the entire spring lineup, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Since 1931, Duncan Heating and Air Conditioning has been serving the Lake Norman area with quality service and support. Highly trained technicians and quality American standard heating and air conditioning systems. Duncan Heating and Air believes in honesty, integrity, getting the job done right the first time, and happy, loyal customers. Duncan Heating and Air Conditioning, 704-872-2431. Schedule your appointment to service your heating system today.
Call in now to speak with Patrick Reynolds on the News Drive at 5. The number to dial is 844-STUDIO-4. WSIC. Local starts here.
News Drive at 5 continues on here on WSIC News Talk Radio. Patrick Reynolds with you on this Tuesday, February the 27th, 2024, 5:48 p.m. Eastern Time. We are driving you home. Hope you're driving home safely. Alongside me in the studio today, North Carolina House District 84 candidate John Gallina is alongside. Thank you so much for taking a call and talking to our audience this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. It's great. You know, I shared earlier, you know, I've been out at the polls here for the better part of the last week and a half, and it's always been great for me to connect with the community. I love connecting with the volunteers through the charity work that we do, and being able to meet different people and just gaining a different perspective. And I really believe that that's a part of what being a representative is all about. It's gaining that perspective. And earlier I talked, a little bit about this idea of, what it means to have freedom. And, I oftentimes think back to the Revolutionary War and just, what we learned through history. And everybody knows this, statement, this, idea of, no taxation without representation. Well, but do we really understand what that meant and what led to that, right? It's a great coined term. But the reality was we were getting taxed and, as colonies, and we didn't feel represented. Well, the British response was, well, you do have representation. We've appointed you representation, and they're here in Great Britain, and so you have representation. And the colonists said, no, it's not enough for us to have virtual representation where it's somebody you appointed for us. It has to come from within, from our people, and we have to vote for them. We have to elect them ourselves, and that's what I believe still holds true today, that our representation should not be appointed, but it should be elected fairly through the people to go represent the people and do the will of the people, not to go to Raleigh or go to D.C. to go do what they think, but to go do the will of the people.
There's a show here on WSIC News Talk on Friday mornings. We're just saying. David Cobalt and Vicky Sawyer host it, and I heard a question posed on that one, and it is relevant to what you were just talking about, what that caller was just talking about. Vicky Sawyer was asked by someone, what defines a career politician?
Wow, I think that is an excellent question. And I think it's somebody that sits in one office and continues to hold one office without a sight of end in mind, where they often take on and embody that office and they lose sight of the people that they represent. Right. And so for some people that might be 2 years or 4 years. For other people, it might be 6 or 8 years. But I think ultimately, I personally look at it in this sense of term limits across the board for every position are needed to be put into place.
Right.
If our president can only serve 2 4-year terms, then why is it not good enough for Congress to have a limited number of terms? And so maybe it could be 8 2-year terms. But there's a limit at some point. Maybe it could be 4 2-year terms, right? But there's a limit to what they can serve in that seat, and then they can move on to another seat. But I do believe that there are some limiting factors that need to be put in place, and the argument's out there that the voters should be the limiting factor. The voters should say when they've served too long. But again, to answer the question, I believe when a politician, when an elected official takes on the embodiment of that office, and they lose sight of the people that they represent, of all the people that they represent, then at that point they have become a career politician.
The yin and the yang to that, the argument, so to speak, was term limits versus experience. Sometimes the experience, as longer you're in office, you can do a better job, as opposed to term limits where you're in, might be too short to come back out. So does that number for you fluctuate between what office it is, who the person is, what you hold in the state or the country?
Well, I think there's a different way of looking at that too, right? That experience can also lead to further corruption or entrenchment into the establishment, right? And so I think there's different ways that we can look at that, but that's also why there's varying balances in overlap of different terms for different seats, right? So I think, really the people ultimately need to get more involved and become more educated as to, who their representatives are, what offices are coming up for election, and the importance of voting, right? When we're seeing, ultimately what's going to end up being somewhere between a 3 and 5% voter turnout for a race, that's really sad.
It is.
Right? And so how can we expect the people to vote and hold politicians accountable and limit the number of terms that they're in the name of experience? I believe that the system was set up for succession, for constant turnover and succession. succession. And we roughly see, somewhere in the neighborhood of, 200 House seats a year, or excuse me, every election cycle across the nation turn over. And so with that, we have this idea of there's a process to educate, spin them up, and get them to work and be able to be productive. Whether it's 2-year terms with 2 limits, 2-term limits, or 4-year terms with 2-term limits, there can be a healthy rate of succession there. And I just, want to throw another point in there too that I think is relevant. And that is that ultimately, I believe that when you have a forced succession model, the people are going to be more productive. That they're going to focus and they're going to work more diligently. And the system is going to allow them to be more successful when it's across the board. But when you have one county that's had a representative in that position for, let's say, 26 years, and then you have another county that has someone new that's coming into a position, well, now all of a sudden that's where you're unequally yoked, right? That you now are into a position where you're beholden to somebody that has a significant amount of power because of the relationships and understanding how to work the system, maybe even against you, right? And so if everybody across the board is on an equal playing field, and there are term limits for everybody in that particular seat, right, or in that particular level of government, then at that point, then you're forced to be able to work with one another, to be able to do the will of the people and to do the work of the people.
Mm-hmm. You've talked for the better part of the last hour, your beliefs, what your strengths are. The WSIC News Talk audience, I hope a lot of them turn out for the primary on Tuesday. It's important to our listening audience, to this community. Question I told you that I was going to ask you, even though you said a lot of things about yourself, why should our listening audience vote for John Gallina?
Patrick, I want to answer that question in 2 parts, and I know we just have about 4 minutes here left. I think the first part is that, as the caller earlier alluded to about the Republican Party as a whole, I believe that the party as a whole has lost sight on the beliefs that I was raised in understanding meant a conservative party, Republican Party voter. And that's that the Republican Party was about small government. And this idea that the government has gotten so big and they're spending so much, and we have so much debt, and that we're divided and we're unable to agree to certain things. We've gotten away from the people, and I believe that's a part why we have such a challenge getting voters out, because they don't understand the what's going on. The government has gotten so big and is so far removed from the people. They don't feel like they have any influence. And so I'm ultimately for smaller government, for putting the power back into the local community, not for stripping the power away from the community, not for creating more bureaucracy. And when you look at things like the lottery is supposed to help the education system, but it hasn't. What it's done is created more government. And I believe that the same thing is going to be true with sports betting and ultimately with horse racing and any other type of gambling that will be created here in North Carolina. It's just going to create more bureaucracy and bigger government. When I think about why me personally, I think about it more in the lines of what have I done in my life but fight for North Carolinians, fight for Americans, whether it's going into combat, whether it's dealing with natural disasters, or whether it's helping people in their homes and have safe, healthy access to their homes. I've invested my life into serving the people, and I'm willing to continue to do that. I've spent over 143 days on the road last year outside of the state of North Carolina. Every time that I landed back home, I thank God that I was able to be back home in North Carolina. And I want to continue to be here, and I want to serve the people here for the time that I have left. God has blessed me, and I have just such a love for my home and for my community and the people in my community. I want to be able to serve them. I want to be an ear to listen and hear their challenges and their needs, and then I want to go fight for them so that they can have a better life and a better future and a better outlook for their children. We are overtaxed. We've got rising inflation. We've got continued rising taxes. We got, fuel prices are just out the roof. People can barely survive and afford to put food on their table. We want to talk about protecting our farms. What are we really doing to protect our farms? We have to protect our farms. We have to have healthy legal immigration in order that we can actually bring food out of those farms. And it's a sovereignty issue. If we lose our farms, we lose our ability to feed ourselves, and ultimately we will lose our sovereignty as a nation.
All the things you bring up, I think I might need to have you back for another show because you raised a lot of good points. I'd love to talk to you further, but we're out of time tonight. John, thanks so much for spending some time with us with our WSIC News Talk audience.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you to all the listeners.
North Carolina House District 84 candidate John Gallina in studio. News Drive at 5 concludes for tonight. I am Patrick Reynolds. We will talk to you Wednesday. Have a good night, everybody.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9, 100.7. WSIC, Statesville, Morrisville, North Charlotte.